Hi, Bec Mac here for Popsart, and I am at Opera Queensland to talk to Patrick Nolan about the two new shows that are coming up, The Human Voice in the Call. Hey Patrick, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Bec.
Now look, I'm a mother of twins, so I understand what it's like to bring two incredible creations to life. How are you managing?
Very well. The great thing is that there's only one person in each show. So that's reasonably manageable. And they're both really fine artists, ALEXANDRA Flood and Ali MCGREGOR. That's a bit tricky because they kind of have the same names. Because your twins got the same names?
No, not at all, but that would be confusing.
And they're very different works. So the Polanc, the Human Voice, which Alex Flood is in, was written in the 50s, in the 1950s, and has a full orchestra, and is a single narrative. So it tells it's a slice in time. What happens on stage is the the time that the story unfolds, and the new work, The Call, which is by Conor Donetto, a local composer, is more a memory-based work, which Ali is in, which Ali MCGREGOR is in, and so they're quite two very distinct works, which also helps. They're not identical twins, I guess. Is the thing.
And within that, as creatively, the themes are quite similar. There's it's love, it's human relation, it's communication. Are you working with the nuances of what's connecting them, or is it almost the contrast?
Yeah, both. Yeah, I would say absolutely. So yes, there's lots of really lovely resonances between the two works, in that they're both works in which the characters are dealing with profound relationships with men in their lives, but it's in the fact that they're men is kind of neither here nor there. It's really that they are dealing with these moments in their lives in which their lives are changed forever, and so that's really interesting. But one is a tragedy and one is not, and so how they unfold and the way in which they're told, because they're two very different musical worlds as well, and so that's where they come apart in that regard. And
the female roles and the artists involved, as you already mentioned, two women. How intrinsic and integral are they to the creation of this work?
Oh, completely. So Alex Flood in The Human Voice, obviously, it's phenomenal. She's 45 minutes alone on stage with a full orchestra. And so, and it's we are literally analysing every line and finding the relationship and the way in which that narrative unfolds from line to line. It's a phenomenal performance feat, and I think particularly in a monologue like that, or a solo performance, it's about working with the artist and who they are and what they bring and the particular qualities that they bring. And so, in both instances, they are both central to it. But with The Call, the new work, Ali MCGREGOR, she conceived it. So she heard this story on The Moth and she thought that would make her great. And she brought that to us, and we then commissioned the opera. Ali, as Ali often does, has been really instrumental in bringing the work into being as well. But again, her performance is virtuosic and extraordinary in a very different way, because it's the Call is like a series of vignettes. So it's not a single through line, and which is in some ways is equally as challenging as the other one.
And along with the high calibre of the main artist, you've got an incredible creative team wrapped around them, embedded, and bringing it together. What's been the process of working with these two incredible creative teams as well? Again, the twins.
The twins, yeah. Well, it's the same creative team that we had for Figaro last year, and so there's a good language that is already established between us, which has been a real treat. So it's Marg HORWELL who's designing it, and Bernie Tan is doing the lights, and again we've created a space in which the two stories can unfold. But it's about how does that space shift from one to the other, and lighting is playing because we're in the concert hall, and we've kind of we're transforming the concert hall into a theatre space. So we've built like a room within the concert hall. People are going to walk in and won't recognise the concert hall, which is wonderful, and again, because the human voice is this single story, it has a single set in which the story is played out, and it's very focused and very controlled, a little bit like the music, in fact. And then you can kind of see the mess around you, which is the second one, and because it's a series of different stories, we're exploring those in, you know, each of them has their own space in their own little world, and that kind of unfolds throughout the course of the night.
I love the idea of transforming the theatre itself, and so both the works are in that transformed space.
Yeah. So but each story has a very specific design.
Fantastic. Well, that sounds like such an incredible experience for the audience. Like, ultimately, what would you like the audience to take away with experiencing both these works?
As ever, with the work that we create, you know, the opera is an intensely emotional art form. You know, you get to sit in a room with a full orchestra and some you know, really amazing singing. And in the context of the call, Connor's piece, it's a different orchestra. It's a chamber orchestra, but there's also electric guitar and quite an extensive percussion, as well as strings and some woodwind. So they're two very different pieces, but the quality of the performances and the quality of these performers in Alex and Ali, I think, is going to give audiences the chance to, you know, really abandon themselves to a very passionate, a very raw, very tender story in both cases, and we don't often have the opportunity to just spend a couple of hours, you know, experiencing beautiful music being told very powerful stories.
I love that so much. I can't wait. I'm very excited, and I think you all will be too if you get along. Make sure you do. But thanks again for your time, Patrick. Again, bringing something really new, contemporary, and a whole possibility to the stage of opera. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.